position right back into one of our strongest situations. Let's have a repeat of this. Walter gets up, Placido, rip him back right where he came from. That was beautiful, Placido. Okay, Placido, do you see how it's a strong motion? Just let go right across your chest and bring him back where he came from. Now, we've looked at 5 great positions to control and attack. Your goal is to navigate through these positions as your opponent goes to resist using those 3 defensive strategies we looked at. But there's one more position we need to look at. Out of all the possible positions for back crucifix, this is the only one which is not so good. It's not a complete disaster. There's things you can do from here, but you don't want to hang out here against a skilled opponent, okay? That's a situation where Walter successfully gets up to his knees, but Placido makes a bit of a boo-boo with his feet, okay? What are we talking about here? If Walter explosively gets up towards me and Placido is lazy with his feet and keeps his feet on the far side as Walter gets up to his knees, and Placido is now stuck in a situation. Guys, let's just rotate a little bit this way. Good. Right there, good. Okay, Placido is now stuck in a situation where he does have a crucifix. He is sitting on top of Walter's arm. That's true. That sounds good. But the problem is he can't put any weight on Walter's arm. He's technically sitting on it, but he can't put weight on it. He's in a situation where his feet are on the far side of the body and his head is on the opposite side of the body. This is going to make it really easy for Walter to grab Placido's foot and shelf it on his head. Then it becomes even easier for Walter to violently pull his arm free, and now Placido is caught in a terrible situation. This is just terrible. Your opponent's not only has he escaped the position, but he's on the verge of passing your guard at the same time. Let's go back and have a look at that again. So this is the one position we want to stay away from. So starting in a good position here, Walter explodes up onto his knees, and we get stuck in this position. Not really desirable, okay? So what we need to be able to do is to make sure in situations like this, we make it hard for an opponent to get here in the first place. Let's go back to start position, fellas. Now, a good way for Placido to do this is to switch from top leg control to bottom leg control, so that when Walter explodes up, look how easily Placido can pull his feet back and ensure that his feet stay on the same side as his hips. Okay, and if he can do this, he's got excellent prone control over his opponent. Let's come back. Now, sometimes we're a day late and $1 short, and when we go to top arm control, good. When he comes up in these situations, good, come up, good. We're going to point our knees and retract our feet, good, and come up to a hand. And in this way, we can stay on top of our opponent and ensure that our hips and our feet are on the same side of our opponent's body, okay? So in this way, we can get away from this undesirable situation known as the seated arm set. So one more time. Best case scenario, we switch off like so, okay? And from here, when our opponent aggressively comes up, it's very easy to retract both of our feet like a triangle and then control our opponent right here. Coming back. If we have top arm control and he comes up, then we have to do a good job of posting on the floor behind us and then recovering like so. Okay? And in this way, we can avoid this troublesome position, the seated arm set, not a very desirable position for us to be caught in. So we see there's 5 very good positions and one which is a bit of a lemon that we want to stay away from, make it hard for an opponent to get us there in the first place. Now, we've looked at the 3 core elements of overall control in the back crucifix situation. The first was the idea of controlling the far arm. The second was the idea of controlling the near shoulder. The third was the so-called 3x6 theory. Now let's move on to the next one. This is an easy one for most people to understand. This is the relationship between rear mount and back crucifix. Let's go back to a back crucifix situation, Placido. Guys, do you remember we talked about one of the more common defensive strategies to a back crucifix is for Walter to aggressively bridge up on top of Placido. Now, anytime someone aggressively bridges up on top of you, it's very easy for Placido to pass his knee through underneath his opponent and convert from back crucifix to rear mount. Now, what if Walter was able to break those feet apart and then escape the rear mount position? Well, then Placido would just go right back into back crucifix. And you can play between these two. Every time he bridges up on top of you, space develops underneath the body to transition into the rear mounted position. If your opponent starts to escape rear mount, you just go right back to back crucifix. And you play these two, back crucifix and rear mount, against each other. The cue that you're looking for to enact this strategy is when your opponent bridges and his butt comes off the mat. That makes it very easy for you to pass your knee underneath your opponent and make the conversion from crucifix to rear mounted position. The next thing we're going to look at is the idea of T Kimura. You remember we talked about the idea that one of Walter's best defensive strategies is to slide down and away. This is an excellent strategy. Walter, take your left hand and grab Placido behind the neck. Now, Walter, bridge up to your left and walk up to your knees in this direction. Just come up on top, and he can easily escape from the position and pin Placido. So this strategy of sliding down the body is an intelligent strategy and leads into some of the most effective escapes from a back crucifix. Now, from Placido's perspective, if he feels his opponent sliding down the body and he's starting to lose control of the crucifix arm, it makes a lot of sense for Placido to convert to a Kimura grip. So that when he loses the arm, Walter, his opponent tries to turn up, he can convert into attack out of T Kimura position. Let's keep going. Good. And we look at a range of ways to attack out of this position. You could take the rear mount, you could take the rear triangle, whatever you want. Let's have a look at that again, fellas. Expect a little more energetic. So, from here, T Kimura, he explodes up. Beautiful. And we go right back into the back. Okay, so if we feel our opponent is sliding down and away from us, a really effective strategy is to go into T Kimura. Now, the next thing we need to look at, and this is one of the more interesting parts of the video, is the idea that some of your opponents, especially the more explosive athletic ones, are going to look to stand up on you. So let's have a look at how we counter this. Let's start in a prone situation with a crucifix in place. Okay, Placido, you've got your crucifix. Good. Now, Walter, I want you to straighten up. Straighten up all the way. Good. And now you see that Placido's entire body has come off the ground. If Walter tries to shrug off like a motion, almost like a fireman's other way, we don't want to go in that direction. Good. Now, from here, if he tries to shrug us off, it's really easy. Ooh.
Do you want to keep the arm?
It's a video about crucifixes.
I thought you were coaching him through some defense.
Absolutely not. So,
it's time to die, Walter. You make me look bad. Nobody make me look bad.
We got Puerto Rico versus Mexico over here. It's getting crazy. So from here, when he goes to throw you off, let's use that pressure to tuck and roll in this direction and carry him over. Your opponent cannot throw you like this. Okay, that's suicide. He's going to throw himself right back into a crucifix. So what's a smart opponent going to do? When he starts to straighten up, he's going to hold you and suspend you. Okay, if we'll talk about what happens when he takes you back in this direction soon. But what Placido needs to do is to use arm lock pressure to force his opponent's shoulders to rotate. When he rakes his leg back, that arm lock pressure turns the shoulders, and when the shoulders turn, it's very easy to take him out of possession. Let's have a look at this again, fellas. So Placido gets to a prone back crucifix, and his opponent intelligently reacts by coming up like so. It's not a bad reaction, guys, because if your opponent were to throw his arm across in this direction, he would take you, Walter, throw your arm across away from me. This would, no, away from me. That would put you into the very situation that we've been describing as a bad position. Do you see that, Placido? You'll be taken into the seated arm set.
Yep.
Let's go seated rather than supine. Now, Placido. Let's do it at the side again. So you can see that Walter's using an intelligent strategy here. Okay, if Walter threw Placido to his butt, then he would go right into that position we described as the lemon position. Okay, the seated arm set. This is not good for a crucifix guy. Come back. So what should we be doing? If someone lifts you up, the onus is on us to rake our leg back like this. That puts so much pressure on your opponent, he'll break his own arm if he tries to swing you in front. And as a result, we roll him through, we tuck and roll, and take him over. So let's have a look at this again, Pastor. So we have a strong physical opponent underneath us, and he knows that if he can pick us up and straighten up, no. Just pick him up, keep your knees on the ground. Okay, he knows that if he can successfully throw the arm through, he can take you into a disadvantageous position. Coming back. So what we need to do when someone picks us up is to rake our leg back aggressively so that he cannot bring the arm in front. And you can easily tuck and roll and take him right back into a back crucifix. So what do you think your opponent's going to do when he knows you're at this level and you can stop that? He's probably going to stand up all the way to his feet to try and shrug you off. So what do? When we hook in on the arm, good, and then from here he stands all the way up to his feet. When we see this, we're going to take our bottom leg and throw it to the far side and get hook set and then go right into a stranglehold. Because your opponent has his arm strapped. It's very hard for him to defend the strangle. Let's have a look at it again. So the seventh position that we should be able to follow is when our opponent goes to aggressively stand up on us. We throw hooks in and convert from back crucifix to rear mount with an arm trap, and as a result, we can finish and strangle. Okay. Now, the eighth and final element. Back crucifix, supine. Okay, the eighth element is the use of submission holds as a threat to move your opponent with the threat of submission. Let's say our opponent starts to slide down and away. We're going to use arm lock pressure to bring him right back. Given a choice between a broken arm or bridging, most of your opponent's going to bridge. Okay? If our opponent slides down successfully, we can use an arm around the neck to threaten a strangle and force our opponent to start moving, turning. Good. And then from here we go back to arm lock pressure. So we catch him in a dilemma and it's to stay on the strangle buster. You see, start again. So we put the arm around the neck. Good. Now, arm lock pressure, stretches them out. Good. When you get an arm around the neck and you stretch them out like this, you can start to convert to a two-arm strangle and go on and get the figure of four. Why is it safe to do that? Because your opponent's shoulder has come up off the mat, so you no longer need to keep an arm underneath his shoulder. Now, even if Walter comes aggressively up to his knees towards me, still the strangle will be 100% effective in this position. Let's see it, Placido, get a tap. Good. And we get the submission, okay? Because your opponent's shoulder is so far away from the mat that they can't use any form of shoulder to the mat escape to get away from here. So let's have a look again. The eighth and final element of control. Using the threat of arm locks to move your opponent and force him to adjust the position. Good. If he's willing to take some punishment and slides down the body, we use the threat of strangleholds. Good. And then combine that with arm locks, getting his shoulder so high off the mat that now we can convert to two-arm strangles. If he tries to jump across our body, the strangle is already set. You're not going to escape by jumping across, and now we get our submission and finish. Okay? So, Placido, we have what seems like a very long list of elements, but you know these and understand them well. What we're going to do now is we're going to have Walter start in a crucifix position. Placido, what I want you to do is to use these 8 elements of control, the most important which is the 3x6 theory, and you're just going to control Walter for time. He's going to be trying to escape. Sometimes he'll try to stand up. Sometimes he'll try and slide down and away. Sometimes he'll go through the various moves that we looked at. I want you to exercise control over time. Every time you get to a submission, don't release the position overall. Just play spontaneously. And let's knock out some time here working live in front of the camera so that people watching get a sense of how they would use this in a competitive sparring situation. Here's one.